Hello dear listener, please subscribe to our channel. Enjoy watching. Let me tell you about the craziest week of my life. No, seriously, this isn't one of those exaggerated bar stories. It all started with a conversation I overheard between my wife, Mia, and her best friend, Jessica. I wasn't supposed to hear it, but let's just say curiosity got the best of me. It was a Thursday night, and I was supposed to be working late, but I decided to surprise Mia with takeout from her favorite sushi place. That's when I heard her whispering on the phone. I froze just outside the living room door. Mia's voice was low, almost conspiratorial. "Jess, I can't keep doing this. He's so clueless. I mean, I love how simple it is with Ryan, but my God, the thrill of sneaking around with Derek is intoxicating. I'm leaving for Cabo tomorrow, and I haven't even told Ryan yet. It'll be our last hurrah before I decide what to do about my marriage." I didn't need to hear anymore. My wife was planning a trip with another man, and she hadn't even mentioned it to me. I felt the blood drain from my face, and the sushi bag slipped from my hand, the contents spilling across the floor. That's when Mia noticed me. She jumped and tried to cover up her shock with a forced smile. "Ryan, what are you doing home so early? I thought you had a late meeting," she stammered, her eyes darting nervously. I could have confronted her right there, but instead, I played it cool. I smiled back, picked up the scattered sushi, and handed it to her. "Meeting got canceled. I thought we could have dinner together." She hesitated, but then she took the bag and kissed my cheek, acting as if everything was perfectly normal. But it wasn't. My mind was racing, already formulating a plan. Mia had no idea what was coming. That night, I barely slept. I stayed up thinking about all the signs I had missed, the late nights, the sudden business trips, the way she had been distant lately. I was a fool not to see it sooner. But now, I had the upper hand. I wasn't going to confront her, that would be too easy. No, I wanted her to feel what I was feeling. Betrayal, confusion, and ultimately, loss. The next morning, I pretended everything was fine. I kissed Mia goodbye as she left for work, just like any other day. But as soon as she was out the door, I went to work. I called in a few favors from some old friends who owed me. You see, I'm not just some regular guy with a 9-to-5 job. I used to work in private security, and I know a few things about surveillance, background checks, and more importantly, how to disappear without a trace. First, I hacked into our joint bank account and transferred half of the money into a new account that Mia had no access to. Then, I canceled all her credit cards and removed her as a beneficiary on our insurance policies. Next, I called the travel agency and, posing as Mia, canceled her trip to Cabo. But I wasn't done yet. I spent the rest of the day setting the stage. I packed a small bag with just enough clothes for a week and made sure to leave behind anything Mia might find suspicious. Then, I went to our cabin in the mountains, a place Mia never liked because she wasn't a fan of roughing it. Perfect. It would be my hideout. As the day turned into evening, I drove back to the city and parked my car at the airport, making it look like I had taken a last-minute flight somewhere. Then, I took a cab to a cheap motel near the interstate, the kind of place where people don't ask questions. I checked in under a fake name, paid in cash, and waited. I knew Mia was going to be furious when she found out her trip was canceled. And she was. I got a text from her around 8 p.m., asking why the airline had no record of her reservation. I didn't respond. Instead, I turned off my phone and sat back, letting the silence drive her crazy. The next day, I finally called her. "Hey, babe, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you last night. I had to leave town for work. Something came up last minute." Mia's voice was laced with frustration. "Ryan, what the hell is going on? My trip got canceled, and I can't get a hold of Derek. Did you have anything to do with this?" I could almost hear her heart pounding on the other end of the line. "Why would I do that? I've been busy with work. Maybe you should check with the airline again. Or maybe Derek just bailed on you. Wouldn't be the first time, right?" There was a long pause. She was trying to figure out if I knew more than I was letting on. Finally, she said, "Ryan, I need to talk to you in person. Can you come back home?" "I'm not sure when I'll be back, Mia. It might be a while. You know how these things go." I hung up before she could say anything else. That was step one. Make her feel isolated and abandoned, just like she had made me feel. Over the next few days, I laid low at the cabin, monitoring the situation from afar. Mia tried everything to reach me, calls, texts, emails, but I ignored them all. Then, she started calling my friends and colleagues, asking if they had seen me. Of course, they all played along, telling her they hadn't heard from me either. By now, she was getting desperate. That's when I decided it was time for the next phase of my plan. I drove back to the city, but instead of going home, I checked into a luxury hotel under yet another fake name. I needed a place where I could keep an eye on Mia without her knowing. I knew she was going to Derek's place that evening, so I made sure to be there, too. I parked a block away from his apartment and waited in my car. Sure enough, around 7 p.m., Mia's car pulled up. She got out, looking frazzled, and rushed inside. I waited a few minutes, then followed her. I had brought a set of tools with me, nothing too obvious, just a lockpick kit and some basic surveillance gear. It didn't take long to get into Derek's apartment. I knew his kind, a player who thought he was untouchable, someone who probably didn't even lock his doors half the time. Sure enough, it was easy to slip inside. I could hear them arguing in the living room. Mia was frantic, accusing Derek of canceling the trip, of playing some kind of game with her. Derek, of course, denied everything. I smiled to myself, knowing that this was exactly what I wanted, to turn them against each other. I set up a small camera in the corner of the room, hidden among some plants. Then, I quietly slipped back out and returned to my car. From there, I could watch everything unfold on my phone. As the argument escalated, Derek finally had enough. "Mia, I'm done with this. You're too much drama. This was supposed to be fun, but now you're acting like a crazy person. I'm out." Mia was stunned. "What? You're just going to leave me like this?" "Yeah, I am. Good luck explaining all of this to your husband." With that, Derek grabbed his coat and walked out the door. Mia was left standing in the middle of the room, completely shattered. I watched as she slumped onto the couch, tears streaming down her face. She was starting to realize just how badly she had messed up. But I wasn't done yet. I wanted her to feel the full weight of her betrayal. The next day, I made sure Mia would be at work. She still had no idea where I was or what I was planning. I broke into our house and left a letter on the kitchen counter, no signature, just a simple message: "Revenge is a dish best served cold. Enjoy your new life, Mia." When she came home that evening, I watched from the security cameras I had installed earlier. She found the letter, and the look on her face was priceless. Panic, fear, and finally, resignation. She knew she was caught, but she didn't know how or by whom. Over the next few days, Mia tried to carry on as if nothing had happened, but I could see the cracks forming. She was nervous, jumpy, always looking over her shoulder. And every time she tried to access our bank account, she was met with an error message. She was completely cut off, with no idea how to fix it. Finally, after nearly a week of tormenting her, I decided to make my move. I sent Mia a text from a burner phone, telling her to meet me at a small diner on the outskirts of town. I knew she would come, she was desperate for answers. When she walked in, she looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her eyes were red, and her clothes were wrinkled. She sat down across from me, and for a moment, we just stared at each other in silence. "Why are you doing this, Ryan?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Because you betrayed me, Mia. You took our marriage and threw it away for some cheap thrill with a loser like Derek. Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" She didn't have an answer. Instead, she just sat there, tears welling up in her eyes. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "I'm giving you a choice, Mia. You can either walk away now, with whatever dignity you have left, or you can keep fighting me and end up with nothing." "What do you mean, walk away?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I mean leave. Take what little money you have left, get in your car, and drive. Don't look back, don't try to contact me, just go. Start a new life somewhere else. If you do that, I won't come after you. But if you stay, if you try to fight me on this, I'll make sure you regret it." Mia looked at me, searching for any sign of mercy, but there was none. I was done playing the nice guy. She had made her choice when she decided to cheat on me, and now she had to live with the consequences. Without saying another word, Mia stood up and walked out of the diner. I watched her get into her car and drive away, and just like that, she was gone. It took a few more weeks to tie up the loose ends. I sold the house, closed our joint accounts, and filed for divorce. I even got a new job out of state, just to make sure there was no chance of running into Mia ever again. As for Derek, well, let's just say he won't be messing with anyone's wife ever again. A few well-placed tips to the right people, and his little side business got shut down real quick. Last I heard, he was facing some serious jail time. In the end, I got what I wanted: closure, revenge, and a fresh start. Mia and Derek paid the price for their betrayal, and I walked away with my head held high. It wasn't the ending I had imagined when I first married Mia, but it was the one I needed. So, if you ever find yourself in a situation like mine, remember this: revenge is sweet, but it's even sweeter when you're the one holding all the cards. And that's my story, my friend. Sometimes, life throws you curveballs, but it's how you handle them that really matters. If you leave a comment, tell us what you think about the story you heard. It's important to us and will help us find and tell stories that you find interesting. Thank you for watching us.